I have this article here from Tech Dirt. Verizon is the only US wireless carrier charging extra for 5G. Does this surprise me that Verizon charges extra? Because Verizon's always the most expensive. I know they say they have the best network. I've actually never used Verizon because I just don't want to spend the money on it. Whether they do have the best network, I guess, has to be really seen. I think it did back in the day. I don't know if it does today. So by now, we've established that while fifth generation wireless will result in faster, more resilient networks, the technology has been overhyped to an almost comical degree. I agree with this. There have been a number of articles or a number of videos where it shows that 5G could be faster in some instances. And then I've seen other videos where 4G is completely annihilating what 5G speeds are getting. So, yes, faster, lower latency networks are a good thing, but 5G is not as paradigm rattling as most wireless carriers and hardware vendors have led many in the press to believe, because marketing, because they want to charge more money. So they're going to market the shit out of 5G and say it's the best thing that's ever come, and we're not there yet. 5G will probably get better, almost guaranteed. It's going to be much better than 4G, but it's not right now. It might not be until next year. It might not even be until the year after that. Who knows? So 5G is more of a useful evolution than a revolution, but it has become the equivalent of magic pixie dust in tech policy circles, wherein if you simply say, quote, it will lead to faster deployment of 5G, you'll immediately add gravitas to your otherwise underwhelming K Street policy pitch. The other major problem, Americans already pay some of the highest prices for mobile data in the developed world. This also doesn't surprise me because capitalism, because corporations are greedy, because I'm going to stop ranting about that because you guys hear me say it all the time. Now they're being asked to shell out a lot of cash for pricey new handsets with worse battery life, but more expensive data plans. It was already a difficult pre-pandemic proposition to explain why users happy with 4G speeds need to pay even more. Very true. I don't think a lot of people that I knew were complaining about their 4G network. I think most people were pretty happy with what they did. Let's face it, most people aren't doing the most heavy stuff on their phones, right? They'll watch a YouTube video here and there. I don't even think having the best quality on it is a deal breaker for a lot of people. But if they're not watching a YouTube video or something on Instagram, or for younger people going through TikTok, they're just doing stuff like Twitter or reading news stuff or checking email. It's not a big deal. But I guess I can speak for most people because I'm assuming that's what most people are doing. If you're doing something else on your phone, like I don't know what you're doing that's taking up extraordinary amounts of data, but I think you're on an outlier, or you're in that outlier position there. So, many carriers appear to have understood this. AT&T includes 5G for free on the company's two most expensive unlimited plans. T-Mobile has been offering 5G for no additional cost, though that could change post-Sprint merger on all of its unlimited plans. Verizon, in contrast, has been eager to charge users. I like how they put eager in there. An extra $10 per month for 5G. Initially, the company backed off this surcharge after some negative early press, but seems intent on imposing these surcharges, it claims, because 5G offers a, quote, differentiated experience. When you deliver a differentiated service, differentiated, like 5G on Verizon, I don't think is worlds above at this point, right? They use millimeter wave, but you have to be line of sight in those specific cell towers. Am I not right in that? Verizon CFO Matt Ellis explained during a recent investor event. Ellis pointed to Verizon's recent demonstration of 4.2 gigabit per second speeds on its commercial 5G network, noting such speeds are dramatically faster than what Verizon offers even on its wired Fios network. There are several, this is a typo, there are several problems here. One, Verizon's quote launched 5G. I keep quoting, quote. One, Verizon's launched 5G markets have been repeatedly ridiculed for being spotty at best. So, yeah, it might be fast, but it's spotty. So that's an issue. If it's spotty and you're not getting fast coverage, then what's the point? Why are you paying extra money? Even the company's 5G launches, it's in even the company's 5G launches in sports stadiums have been ridiculed as patchy as hell. So, again, issues with service. You're paying more money for what? Asking users to shell out significantly more money to access a network that is barely available doesn't make much sense, at least when you're trying to initially ramp up adoption, especially given that most users don't use much more than the top speeds 4G currently offers, anywhere between 10 and 30 megabits per second or so, which is what I was talking about earlier. I think the only issue that I have when I use T-Mobile is the best explanation or the best example is when I was at a Bulls game pre-pandemic before they closed the NBA. Like literally, I went to a Bulls game and I think the next week they suspended the NBA. But at that Bulls game, I couldn't get network inside the stadium. I had to walk outside, kind of like where they were selling food and beer. That was the only time I got reception. When I came back in, like nothing, just because there were so many people there. The other problem, while Verizon's best case 5G can theoretically offer speeds that rival fiber, quote, 5G as a standard behaves very differently depending on what kind of spectrum is being used to fuel it. For example, Verizon's making heavy use of millimeter wave spectrum, which struggles with range and obstacle issues like building walls. In other words, for many, the benefits of 5G won't be immediately obvious. Quote, one major factor complicating 5G pricing is the fact that the technology behaves very differently depending on what spectrum band it's in. For example, the speed of Verizon's network is due to the fact that it runs across wide swaths of high band, millimeter wave spectrum. Sorry, I didn't read that sentence as fluid as I could. While transmissions in this kind of spectrum only travel a few thousand feet in the best conditions, they can carry enormous amounts of data. While other operators like AT&T and T-Mobile have dabbled in millimeter wave 5G, Verizon is doubling down on the technology with plans to expand its 5G millimeter wave network to a total of 60 US cities this year. Granted, with the T-Mobile Sprint merger reducing wireless competition by 25%, that will likely result in less serious pricing competition and more expensive plans. I think this is something that most people don't recognize. I know that a lot of people are kind of excited to see T-Mobile and Sprint merging, but when you do that, you're just taking these big monopolies or of companies, right? Forming essentially an oligopoly, right? Where you have two or three big main players and then they control the market. They control the pricing. They all work together to make sure that people pay up the ass. And I'm talking to you guys. So this is why you guys should care. I know there are a lot of people like, well, I don't care. You should fucking care. Like we need competition in today's society. Anyway, and charging already cash strapped American consumers even more in the years to come. So 5G is here and it is going to be better technology. Whether or not it's going to be better, I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know.